The Parker Jotter, probably one of my favorite everyday pens. The reason it's one of my favorite everyday pens is the price. These are great pens. They've been making them since 1954, and they're still making them today. And there are differences, and I want to go over those differences. The one that I do not have here would be that you can get today would be the XL, which would be the extra large. So it's a larger pen, but I'm just going to stick with the standard Jotters. Over here on the right, these three pens, this is what I refer to as a traditional Jotter now. They've changed over the decades. 54, for example, the first ones did not have the gold or the metal tip here and had striated barrels. 55, they changed it. Late 55, they changed it to the smooth barrels. All have stainless steel caps. Then over here we have the Jotter Originals, and these four came in a set, and these three, the black, the red, and the blue, those were also part of a set. And then we have these that are the two metal pens that are also called Jotters. So these three are called Jotters, but these three in the packaging and everything else were referred to as Originals, and then these were Jotters. Now, in 1955, late 55, like I said, they changed it. They added the metal tip here and the smooth barrels, and they've changed over the decades. They've added little things. This is what I use for my weight comparison, and I just wanted to show the difference. For example, these are all modern pens, and if you're looking to get one and you're wondering what the difference is, why one is more expensive than the other, what you're getting, I'm going to go over the dimensions, I'm going to do the weight, the stuff that I typically do in my other videos. This one's just going to be kind of a broader range. Why I call this the traditional, why these are called the Originals, why these were not labeled as Originals, although they are Originals, except for the fact that they're more classical colors, and then these would be just called Jotters. So I'm going to start with these three. These were all made in the US, and they had the Parker logo, the oval with the arrow going through it, and you can see the feathers. I will pick up one of these Originals, and you can see the difference in the feathers. And like I said, over the decades they've changed different things. They've changed the arrows, but for the most part the arrow looks the same. The feathers are different. You can see there are more feathers here. This has three. They're pretty much, if you were to look at these two, these would look identical. So all three of these were made in the US. And I'm not sure exactly what date these were produced. All I have is black. They came in so many different colors, even you can see here, but even back in 55, 56, they were adding more and more and more colors. Okay, these three right here were a set I bought off of Amazon. These were labeled as Jotters, but they are Originals. Oh, if I take, say, this blue one here, you can see the arrow and the feathers are exactly the same. They're lightweight pens. Now the ones I got from Amazon, right there is, I'm going to see if I can read it. It's like a 1- something dash whatever, but anyway, for sale only in India and Nepal. I live in neither India nor Nepal, but this is what I got. So if you order it from Amazon, you may get an Indian-made pen. Now these four I ordered from Target, and they were shipped internationally. It was through a third person, and these were shipped internationally, so I'm assuming these were made in France, which is where they're currently made. Up until 1999 they were made in the US. In 99 they switched production to England and remained there until I believe it was 2010, when they moved their production to France. So this says France on it. Again, a lightweight pen. You can see exactly the same pen. So these all would be originals. Even though these may not say originals, it's just these are classic colors, whereas I think they're trying to promote the originals as brightly colored, interesting, because I know there was a set that you could get for pastels. I paid for the 4 of these. Well, the initial cost was $20, plus I had to pay for shipping and taxes, and that added another $10 for it, so I paid $30 for the 4 pens, even though I probably could have gone to a local store and possibly bought the same set for less without paying the shipping cost. Then these right here, I think I paid around $21 for the 3 of them. These were older. These are probably as old as I am, or if not older. And then, of course, we have these 2 here, and these 2 also came as a set. These are also made in France. I know it's hard to see with the light, and this, I'm using my phone, so it's not exactly a exotic setup here. But if we take, for example, and look, you can see possibly that the feathers on the metal are actually bolder. The pressing is bolder, and it does not have the metal tip here, and the metal tip was added in 55 to prevent cracking from on the plastic. These are metal, so that's not a concern as far as cracking goes, so maybe that's why. And this is like 54 did not have the metal tip similar to this. They all have stainless steel cap sections here. The newer ones do not have the Parker logo on the button. And if we take a look, and this one's all stainless, I'm not sure this is a blue coated stainless or if this is aluminum. I'm not sure, but this one came in, I guess would have been called a flighter, full stainless steel. Now I'm going to pull out the calipers here. I'm going to set it for millimeters. All right, and I'm going to do barrel dimensions. Separate these all out. I'm going to start with what I call traditional. .53. One that they call a Jotter, but it's a Jotter Original. 9.53, exactly the same. .7 millimeters, so about 2 millimeters bigger, but not a difference that's worth even considering when you're buying this. All right, now what I'm going to do is move this stuff out of the way first, and I'm going to try to do something here. This is not normally the way that I do it, but I want to try to get in here, and well, maybe I can do it this way. It's a lot easier when not all this crap isn't in front of me. Okay, so what I refer to as the traditional is here. Let me put that there so you can see it. All right, so that's coming in at 128.14 millimeters, which would be, for us out there who don't use the metric system most of the time, coming in at essentially 5 inches. Okay, so that's traditional, 5.04, so I was thinking that not even a 1/16 of an inch difference. Let's see, let me grab the red one here and try to fit this. Same. I'm pretty sure there's a standard that Parker sets and says, here's how long the thing has to be a jotter. Here's the barrel size, etc. Let me just... Yeah, same. Okay. One of the metal ones. Line it up on this side. Yeah, I mean, essentially 5 inches. So there really isn't any difference as far as that's concerned. You know, I think it's more, you know, so as far as how it's going to feel in your fingers, I know a lot of people will think, you know, if you got can smashers for hands, you got massive hands, you know, you might feel that this is a small pen, and if you're used to writing with, you know, larger fountain pens, then yeah, this is a small pen. But it's a great all-around carry around. If you lose it, you're not going to lose any sleep, because you know you can get them for damn near dirt cheap. They're everywhere. You can order them from Amazon, you know, eBay. You can go to your local supply shop, you know, office supply shop, and I'm sure they sell them there. I probably go to, I mean, I ordered it online from Target, but it's possible they might sell them there. These, let's show you the packaging before I get to the weights here. So the four, the most colorful ones, they came in this right here. So it says Jotter Originals. It's kind of hard to see. 2084405 CONT1PC/PZA, whatever that means, made in France. And you got the Parker box here. And so all 4 of those came in that one box. I might as well leave that out because pens are going right back in there. And then the ones I ordered from Amazon that came from India came in this. There were individuals, so I didn't get all 3 of them in that. But I need to open it up. These did not want to come out, but they came in this little plastic one. So I got 3 individual boxes, and this is Parker Jotter 3 COLOU, no color. 1 red ballpoint pen, new. I got 2 boxes that say red ballpoint pens, even though I didn't get 2 red ballpoint pens. I got a black, a blue, and a red. All right, now to weigh the things. And you tell me when you see the weights on this thing. Now, of course, like I said, with the wow, that sun's really coming through now, isn't it? I'm getting a rainbow effect here almost. Anyway, you tell me if you think I ought to use, instead of using these 3, one of these 3 over here, if I should use the Originals as a comparison pen, because these are more readily available and it's possible people might have more. But you let me know. I'll just continue to use these, you know, just as a reference point, and I'll continue to call it a jotter. So that's 14.39. Here's another traditional 14.75. I think this is the one that's 15.36. So this is the one that I use when I'm doing the comparisons. And this is obviously the heaviest one, so this might be the oldest of the 3, even though they all look exactly the same. And the reason I would say this might be the oldest one is because as time goes on, companies tend to get cheaper with their production as far as the materials they use, or the thickness of the plastic, or the cap section here. Next we'll go to the Parker Originals. 11.55. I'll just grab, I think, let's say the yellow one here. 11.55, so exactly the same. All right, and then I'll grab this try to shield the sun. Okay, 14.81. So it's a little, let's see, 14.81. What was one of these lighter ones? No. 14.45. So I would say this is probably more in the lines of, say, you know, the two jotters. Let me just do the stainless steel here. 14.74. See, my window here is facing west, and the sun is going down, and all of a sudden the sun just went right down into the window that's in front of me, and boom, just washes everything out. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, just to see why there's such a difference, not much of a difference between what I call the traditional and the new jotter, not the original jotters. All right, so if we take the cap of the original, that's 4.88. Do a traditional. 7.73. So you got a pretty significant difference right there in the, you know, how much steel was used to make this cap section as opposed to one of the older ones. 4.93. So this is essentially the same cap that's on the original. Well, before I put that back, let's do this. If I can get this not to roll off. I don't know if this is going to work or not. Ah, 6 grams. So, yeah, I mean, the other one is metal, so you're talking about, you know, less than half the weight for this plastic. And let me do, say, 3.06 grams for the barrel on the what I call the traditional. And put all these back together. Try not to mix anything up. Again, these are really good pens. I mean, everyday pens, and I was thinking I've got some classics as well, and doing the, you know, what's the difference between a classic and a jotter. I might do that when I do the classics, but the classic is so different. Let me say this looks like it could be a classic, but you know, because the classics weren't plastic, they didn't have plastic on them, and I guess this, I hesitate to call it a flighter because I don't think Parker called it a flighter, even though it could be a flighter, and Parker had a tendency to name their stainless steel pens flighters, just because they were safe to bring on an airplane. But I don't know if ballpoint pens were ever unsafe to bring on an airplane. I don't think I think the issue was leaking fountain pens. But anyway, yeah, so there's the jotter, and now the sun's starting to, well, the clouds, it looks like the clouds are getting in front of the sun, which is giving me a little bit of break. So anyway, yeah, that's the jotter. So if you're thinking about getting one, or you just got one and you wanted to know what the difference is, and you wanted to know what I consider a traditional jotter, and again, if you think that instead of using one of these older pens, I should use one of the originals, because there's probably more people out there that have these than these. I mean, I think more people would have these, considering if these were made until 1999 in the US. I don't know how much they changed when they were produced in the UK, but if you figure 55 to 99, I don't know what they were like in 99. I mean, maybe one of these was produced in 99. But anyway, if this helped, you know, and you enjoyed the video, click like, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Not many people have, but if you want to join the few that have, hey, more power to you, and I would appreciate it. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, click like, subscribe, comment. Thanks for watching, and bye.